Basically, I was in uni. It was my final year, and we had to come up with projects that was because it was like this project would make up the whole of our grade. So I decided I wanted to do a film, but decided I wanted to do something that wasn't in London. So we was gonna go to Greece. But I was listening to a playlist one day in the cafeteria while we was sort of organising what we were gonna do, and I was listening to like R&B, 90s kind of stuff, some 80s stuff as well. And The Closer I Get to You by Luther Vandross and Beyonce came on, and I just started picturing a film about a young black couple in love, and from there it kind of just kicked off. I think it was exciting growing up being black. You watch a lot of rom-coms, but it's very rare you watch a black rom-com, and when you do, there's like romance kind of plays second to like everything else, like all their other troubles, the love kind of like plays second to it. So I think it was like the idea of making a film where love takes precedence and is the main focus of the film. And not only that, but just to work on something that was so close to my culture as well, that I hadn't necessarily done before. For me, that was exciting. A lot of films. If we're talking about like black movies, then like White Chicks, How Stella Got a Groove Back, Why Did I Get Married, Think Like a Man, Boomerang, Love and Basketball, like all those kind of films. Deliver Us from Eva. It's debatable. At first I thought it was a rom-com, but the more that I think about it, and when we all like sat down and watched it, I kind of realized it's a rom-com with like very serious hints of drama. I'm not sure if there's a particular genre for that, but it shows all elements of romance and comedy and drama. I think casting in general is just really important. But I knew the kind of story that I wanted to tell, and I knew that whoever I hired, not only did they have to be able to act well with their like co-star, but they also had to look like they could be a couple. So we did a casting process on Star Now, and then from there we did table reads and chemistry reads, just to see who worked well with who in terms of like best friends and couples and so forth, and from there we kind of just picked the best ones. Cast is awesome. I think this is the first film that I've done where I've genuinely had a great time, and because this like when you're making a film, it's not always sunshine and roses. You know what I mean? There's sometimes you kind of like have creative differences with someone, but these guys were very much into their characters and embodied their characters so well that they were like teaching me stuff about their characters that I hadn't necessarily thought about. So getting to work with a group of people who had really thought about who their characters were and why their characters would do something or how their characters would say something, for me that made being a director a lot easier, because I trusted them a lot more, and I didn't have to spend a lot of time saying, no, I think you should do it this way or you should do it that way. They already had it in the bag. Oof, there is a lot. Ava DuVernay, she's my favorite director, and if I'm half the director that she is, I'm more than happy. David Yates, Tyler Perry, Russell Davies, there is Alfonso. There's just so many directors that have made so many amazing movies. But Ava DuVernay for sure, what she did with When They See Us and Selma, it's some of, I think, the best film work in the world, so yeah. People should watch The Closer I Get to You because it's different. Like I said, like with many black rom-coms or romantic dramas, love always plays second, and in this case, this film make sure that like love is the first and foremost. So we get to sort of really experience this beautiful blossoming relationship through this young couple. There's funny bits as well, and you know there's drama. Everyone likes a good bit of drama, but overall it's just a great film, and personally it's one of my favorites, if not my favorite one that I've done. And it has this kind of 90s feel to it, and it's kind of nostalgic, if that's a word to use, but it kind of, this feel-good feel to it. There isn't a moment, I know like when we were making it, there wasn't a moment where we weren't sort of like at each other's throats. We were all just enjoying each other's company, and it made every single day like fun to be there, and to, I was excited to go back and do like next scenes and stuff, because I was with people who, you know, it was fun, and we all shared the same vision, and it was just like a calm set. So based on that, you should go and watch the film. There was a lot of challenges. I think as a writer, when I was doing it, when I was writing the scripts and thinking of all these amazing locations and amazing scenes and aesthetics, it was like, oh yeah, that'd be nice, that'd be cool, we have it at waterfront or, you know, sunset or whatever the case may be. But then when you switch to like director mode and you have to then find these locations, or you have the locations, but you then have to make it look exactly how you envisioned it in your head, that kind of presents a problem in itself, because if it doesn't, then you have to like on the spot compromise and say, okay, well, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, or we'll have to change that. So the biggest challenge for me personally, yeah, it was just like making sure I brought the vision to life, and making sure that like I still stay true to the script itself. And then like as a producer, you know, just being in charge of everything, and being the answer person essentially for anyone who had questions. They, you know, they come and ask me, how do you want to do this? Where do you want to do that? Which one should I wear? Should we do this? So like there was a lot of different challenges, but overall it was fun. It was weird, but like a good weird, because I've worked on sets before, like when I was an actor, and even when I was first starting making films, you know, a lot of the time it is a predominantly white cast and crew, or, you know, a predominantly male crew. And so there's always going to be a sort of language barrier, in the sense of, like I worked on a set where, you know, we were a diverse group, but like we would tell a story, and then like certain people wouldn't get it because they wasn't familiar with that culture, or, you know, and so that was a challenge. But with this one, I think the majority of us was from like the Caribbean. So in terms of sort of like talking about our childhood and cultural stuff that we had experienced, there wasn't sort of that barrier of having to then explain what we meant by it. We could kind of just like say like, oh yeah, you know, we would talk about the hot chocolate drink Milo, and like before I would have had to explain what Milo was, how it was different from Cadbury's hot chocolate, and why it tasted awful. But it does, it tastes horrible. But working with this cast and the crew, a lot of people had already had that experience, so it was like, Milo, oh man, I hate that drink, you know what I mean? So it was cool to be in a space where I felt like I didn't have to hide who I was culturally. I could just be myself, and you know, sometimes switch from English to patois if I was frustrated, and not have people look at me and be like, what the hell are you, why are you talking like that? So yeah, it was comfortable. Also as well, we were, I think I'm right in saying that we were a predominantly female crew, which was cool. And again, that's not something that like generally happens. It's generally like an all-male crew, and the women will be doing like hair and makeup or costume, something that other people deem as their departments because they're a woman. And so it was, for me, it was cool to have both my assistant directors be female. That was cool for me because, you know, you're lucky if you get one female as an assistant director, but to have two of them, for me, that was like, it was like a power move. I was like, and yeah, we had women as hair and makeup and costume and, you know, stuff like that. But for me, it was a big deal to have my two assistant directors be be female and then be black, because there's certain things that you can sort of say and you wouldn't have to necessarily go into explaining it because it makes sense, and especially the scenes where with Sarah Maver and Louis where it's a little bit more intimate, when we're trying to make sure that both parties feel comfortable and nothing's too revealing or inappropriate. I could say to my assistant directors like, oh, I feel like she should put her legs that way because they remember, and not have to explain why I was doing it, because they'd be like, yeah, no, I get it. It makes sense coming from a female perspective. So that was pretty cool as well.